It was a collection of metallic domes connected by pressurized tunnels. The structure gleamed faintly under the perpetual twilight of the polar winter. Snow stretched in every direction, an endless, unforgiving expanse of white. The silence was a physical presence pressing against the station walls, seeping into the minds of those within. This was a place of extreme isolation. The nearest human settlement was thousands of miles away. Contact with the outside world was sporadic, a fragile lifeline. The station was their sanctuary, but also their cage. The cold was not just outside, it was a feeling that permeated everything. Dr. Aris Thorne was the expedition leader. He was a geologist, and his eyes held the calm of ancient stones. He had dedicated his life to understanding the Earth's frozen history, seeking answers in the layers of ice. Each core sample was a chapter in a story millions of years old. Thorne was a man of logic. He believed in evidence, trusted what he could see and touch. Dr. Lena Hansen was the team's exobiologist. Her gaze was often distant, searching for life in the most extreme environments. She believed the ice held more than just frozen water. Ben Carter handled communications and technology. He was the youngest member of the team. His fingers danced across keyboards, keeping the station connected to the distant world. Dr. Evelyn Hayes was the station psychologist. Her role was to monitor the crew's mental well-being. But what was beginning to unfold at Outpost Borealis felt different. The first signs were small, almost unnoticeable. A misplaced data logger, a question asked twice in an hour. Dr. Thorne found himself searching for his reading glasses. He had just put them down. He blamed it on fatigue. Lena Hansen forgot the name of a specific microbe she had been studying for weeks. These minor lapses began to accumulate. Ben Carter rebooted a server but could not recall why he had initiated the process. Evelyn Hayes noticed these incidents. She made quiet notes, observing the growing frustration, the subtle confusion in their eyes. Then the gaps became larger, more alarming. Whole chunks of time seemed to vanish. The station, once a place of shared purpose, began to feel fractured. Ben Carter was a creature of habit. He ran his diagnostics at the same time every night. The station's digital heartbeat was his responsibility. One evening he noticed something strange. Unusual data spikes from the internal surveillance system. Not errors, just activity. At hours when everyone should have been asleep or in their designated work areas. He decided to review the footage. He started with the feeds from the main corridors, the common areas, the labs. At first nothing seemed out of place. Then he saw it. Dr. Thorne, walking down the corridor towards Sublevel 3 at 3 o'clock in the morning. Ben felt a chill. He checked other cameras. He saw Lena, then Evelyn, each of them at different times during the deep night, moving with a strange, almost somnambulistic purpose. The most disturbing part was their destination, Sublevel 3. Ben watched, his unease growing with every silent footstep on the screen. They were going somewhere for some unknown reason. Ben Carter knew he could not keep this to himself. The implications were too disturbing. He called an emergency meeting. The other 3 scientists gathered in the communications hub. Their faces were etched with worry. Ben dimmed the lights. He projected the surveillance footage onto the main screen. Silence filled the room. They watched themselves, moving like phantoms through the darkened station. Dr. Thorne saw his own image. His gait was stiff, unnatural. Lena Hansen covered her mouth. Evelyn Hayes observed her on-screen counterpart with a detached, analytical horror. None of them remembered these nocturnal excursions. It was as if another consciousness had taken control of their bodies. The audio from the corridor cameras was faint. They could hear themselves talking, not to each other. Their conversations were fragmented, one-sided. The footage would then show the door closing, leaving only the empty airlock. The scientists replayed the footage endlessly. They were desperate for clues, for any hint of what was happening to them. Their recorded selves moved with an eerie certainty. They navigated the corridors as if guided by an invisible map. When they spoke, their words were often technical or strangely poetic. "The resonance is building," Lena's phantom voice whispered. "The pattern will soon complete itself." What pattern? What resonance? The real Lena felt a surge of nausea. They focused on their expressions in the footage, just before entering sub-level 3. Aris Thorne's face, usually set in lines of command, was blank, almost serene. Evelyn Hayes saw a flicker of something in her own recorded eyes. Was it fear, or anticipation, or something else entirely? Ben Carter noticed that their speech patterns were subtly different. The cadence, the choice of words. It was them, but not them. They tried to enhance the audio, to isolate their voices. "The signal is clearer now," Ben's recorded self stated. The real Ben felt his skin crawl. The discovery of the footage shattered their remaining composure. Fear became a constant companion. It lurked in the shadows of the station. It echoed in the silence between their strained conversations. Sleep, once a respite, was now a source of dread. What would they do tonight? Where would their bodies go while their minds were blank? They started to watch each other. Suspicion mingled with concern. Could they trust anyone? Could they even trust themselves? The station felt smaller, more claustrophobic. Dr. Evelyn Hayes tried to maintain a professional facade. But she too was terrified. Her expertise in psychology seemed useless against this invisible invader. The sense of self began to erode. Who were they, if not the sum of their memories? They attempted to stay awake, taking turns on watch. But the human body has its limits. Exhaustion would inevitably claim them. And then the cycle would repeat. The unknown entity in Sublevel 3 was not just communicating with them, it was changing them. Desperation fueled their investigation. They had to find the cause. Dr. Thorne, the geologist, wondered about the ice itself. Could ancient microbes frozen for millennia be responsible, pathogens that affected the brain? He ordered new air and water quality tests. Lena Hansen, the exobiologist, assisted him. They analyzed samples with meticulous care, but the results were always the same, normal. Ben Carter scoured the station's systems. He looked for external signals, for any sign of interference. Could it be a weapon, some new technology being tested on them? His instruments detected nothing, only the usual cosmic background radiation, the faint whispers of distant pulsars. Dr. Hayes explored psychological theories, shared psychosis, folie à plusieurs, but the surveillance footage was objective proof. It was not a shared delusion. The only common factor was Outpost Borealis itself. They discussed barricading Sub-Level 3, sealing it off. But what if the source was not confined there? What if it was already inside them? The days blurred into a relentless cycle. Wake, discover new memory gaps, watch the disturbing footage, argue, fear, sleep, repeat. The mystery of Outpost Borealis remained unsolved. The scientists were shadows of their former selves, haunted by actions they could not remember, by conversations they did not understand. The sub-level continued to call to them in their sleep, or in whatever state they entered during those lost hours. The pull was irresistible, unseen, unfathomable. What lay beneath the station? Was it an organism? A life form from the deep ice? Communicating in a way that bypassed conscious thought, using their bodies as vessels. For what purpose? To learn? To escape? Or was it something more abstract? A geological phenomenon, a strange energy field emanating from the Earth's core, affecting their brain chemistry, rewriting their memories. The possibilities were endless and terrifying. Each theory offered no comfort, only more questions. The final scene is always the same. One of them wakes. The familiar dread washes over them. The silence of the Antarctic speaks volumes, but no one can understand its words.